Tsukune was a loner boy who was pretty plain, and his life was too, until he came across a girl passed out in the street. At first he freaked out, but once he calmed down, Tsukune noticed that it really was a girl just lying there on the ground, and she was exactly his type. On the ground was Moka, the prettiest girl in school that everyone drooled over. Tsukune, seeing his chance to be the hero for the prettiest girl, thought that this might be the catalyst for his life changing, and it was. As he was conflicted between fawning over Moka and calling for help, Moka sat up on her own. While he wasn't looking, Moka leapt onto Tsukune's back and commented on his sweet scent, and that she knew who he was already. Surprised, Tsukune questioned Moka, but she only answered that she wanted his blood and can't hold in her urges anymore. Tsukune was stunned by Moka's beauty and wasn't listening to her at all. She continued saying that he is to keep this secret, which he was about to learn soon, as she moved closer to him, in a seductive way. Biting into Tsukune's neck, Moka admits that she's a vampire between gulps of blood. Moka's face radiates bliss, while Tsukune, on the other hand, was stunned and frozen. Tsukune yelled out in pain as he ran around like a headless chicken, blood spurting out of the wound, while Moka innocently giggled in the background. Moka both thanked and apologized to Tsukune, before again explaining that she was a vampire. Tsukune questioned what she said and asked for clarification, which she gave, adding that she was anemic due to her lack of blood recently, so that was the cause of her fainting. Tsukune tried to laugh it off, saying that she's joking, right? But Moka explained that she looked how she did due to the rosary on her chest. She explained that she wears the rosary to seal her powers, and that's what keeps her in control too. Moka concluded with the fact that she will become another her if the cross was removed, an evil and violent her. As she explained that, Tsukune couldn't accept the fact that Moka could be a vampire and just didn't really believe her at all. Looking as sweet as can be, Moka pleaded that this is a secret between her and him, and he won't tell anyone, right? She can trust him, right? Tsukune was taken aback by her charm, and Moka laid it on thicker, being extra charming and asking if he believed her once again. Like most mortal men, he fell for her charm and agreed to whatever she said without really telling the truth. Moka, however, loved that Tsukune just accepted her for how she was. Smelling him once again, Moka comments that he has a gentle scent and that he is a really nice person. Before Tsukune could say anything more, Moka got close, sniffed him once more and left. Tsukune then went to the library and looked up vampires. He discovered that she was beautiful to attract prey and her appearance was to also blend in. As he read all this, Tsukune began to freak out just a little bit. Recalling all he could about Moka, he realized that she matched the description of a vampire, and the reason he was attracted to her was because of her supernatural beauty. The next day at school, Tsukune tried to calm himself, claiming that Moka isn't a vampire but delusional. He continued to try to convince himself that yesterday didn't happen. He's a plain boy, of course the prettiest girl wouldn't have talked to him, but his calming technique was shattered as Moka arrived to school. As she arrived to school, everyone gawked and drooled over Moka, draping her in compliments upon compliments. However, her eyes were wandering, and eventually she spotted Tsukune in the background, who believed he was just an NPC in her life. Once Moka spotted Tsukune, she happily called out to him and skipped over, causing him to awkwardly reply while the other boys glared daggers at him. The boys shouted and screamed at Tsukune, causing him to fear for his life. However, now that he knew that Moka did really talk to him yesterday, Tsukune cried tears of joy. Moka was confused by Tsukune's sudden tears, however. Before Moka could say anything, a voice called out questioning why she was talking to Tsukune. The voice came from a car parked out front of the school, which a well-dressed young man exited from. It was revealed to be the student council president, and he demanded Moka's answer to his love letter, before just demanding Moka to be his woman. It's revealed that the student council president was also the principal's son, and he was a selfish brat. He admits he's a womanizer and power-hungry, and he wants Moka all to himself. Tsukune glared at the president, but knew he could do nothing, but he didn't need to as Moka called the president annoying and grabbed Tsukune's arm before storming off. A crowd of boys laughed and jeered at the student council president, calling him a failure once again and how they hated him. Not tolerating the laughing, the president called his bodyguard to end everyone that mocked him. as the rabble should know their place in his school. As the students were slaughtered, the president cursed Moka before claiming that she will be his, one way or another. Moka talked to Tsukune about the president and how she knew he was evil due to his scent. It's how she determined good people from bad. Moka then comments on why she doesn't like school, because of all the different scents and how lonely they make her. But she's always felt lonely, because she truly is alone. A lone vampire among humans. Stunned by her heartfelt confession, Tsukune stood up and asked Moka what about himself in this dilemma. He's here for her, so she can't be so alone with him beside her, right? Moka, surprised by the support, blushed and could only say Tsukune's name. Moka then asked to suck Tsukune's blood, ruining the mood. Tsukune questioned it, but Moka just said that she gets cravings when she gets excited. Tsukune worried about how to tell Moka that he didn't believe she was a vampire, but Moka distracted his thoughts by telling him that she knew that he was a good guy like she thought he was, and how kind he was to her, warm even. But before he could answer, Moka bit into him once again, draining him slightly, and causing him to yelp. Moka and Tsukune began spending more and more time together, learning each other's quirks and living in their own little world just for them. A blessing for the lonely Moka, and a dream come true for Tsukune. On the roof, Moka once again drank Tsukune's blood, and also once again panicked him. However, this time, the student council president spotted them and was enraged by Moka kissing Tsukune's neck. While shattering his binoculars, he vowed to never forgive Moka. A few days after being spotted, the big incident happened. The boys accidentally hit their ball towards the girls and asked for it back. The ball landed at Moka's feet and she agreed to throw it back and asked the boys to be ready to catch before throwing it with all her strength. The ball shattered through a window, stunning everyone present. Embarrassed, Moka fled with Tsukune hot in her tail. The boys commented that Moka had changed and seemed friendlier and clumsier. Unfortunately, someone rather angry asked about the shattered window. The PE teacher questioned the boys if they were the one who smashed the window, which stabbed him and left the ball on his head. Trapped, the boys tried talking their way out of the clutches of the violent PE teacher, Higuma. Looking on from afar, the pair saw Higuma smashing the students, causing Moka to want to step in and confess, but Tsukune told her that it's too late now to help the boys. Moka began to mope, blaming herself for the incident, admitting that her sealed power caused the issue of her strength. Tsukune, however, was getting tired of Moka's vampire talk. But Moka made Tsukune promise something. If the rosary was ever removed and she becomes a raging vampire, she wants him to save her. However, her confession stepped on one of the last nerves that Tsukune had, and he snapped. Tsukune told Moka that now isn't the time for vampire talk, which Moka apologized for. She admitted that she's just so used to him keeping her secrets that she just felt she could tell him this and talk about vampires at any time. However, Tsukune snapped again, but tried to restrain himself. He looked away but couldn't finish what he started saying to Moka. Moka then apologized again for being weird. It's just she's never had a friend who could be her confidant. She just got so carried away with this new joy. Moka then asked Tsukune for reaffirmation that he believed she was a vampire, as the knowledge that he does makes every day better and happier for her. Moka apologized for all the info dumping, but Tsukune grit his teeth and began to confess his feelings to her. He confessed that he's feeling irritated by all the vampire talk. He likes being her friend, but all the fake vampire talk sucked. Once Tsukune saw Moka's horrified face, he realized what he said to her and what he really confessed. Moka, while trying to come to terms with all this, is hit with another wave of rejection, as when she asked Tsukune what he wanted her to do, he told her whatever, since she never cared about his opinions before. He continued saying that she never acted like a friend since she never considered his feelings, so anyone could replace him, right? In a flood of tears, Moka tried to deny what he said, but despite his harshness, he was right, and she fled out of sadness and shame. Tsukune, realizing that he hurt his only friend in the worst way, got angry at himself, tossing his baseball glove out of anger. Later, while back in the classroom, Tsukune scolded himself, calling himself a fool for hurting his friend and that he must have really hurt Moka. He was knocked out of his stupor by Higuma entering the class, looking for him. Calling him out, Higuma said that he heard Tsukune broke the window this morning, so he needed to come with Higuma to answer for it. Arriving at the music room, Tsukune was pushed in, questioning why he was here, but what he saw stunned him. Tsukune saw that the student council president and his gang were in the room, with Moka their prisoner. The president called Tsukune the insect that flew around his beloved Moka, and it was time to swat him. Tsukune quickly began to realize that this was a bigger issue than a broken window. With a sudden flurry of movements, Higuma struck Tsukune, sending him flying into the music room supplies. The president then mentioned that Higuma was actually one of his bodyguards, and Tsukune had fallen right into his trap. Tsukune demanded Moka to be freed, but the president said that Moka was his, so Tsukune must be eliminated. And so, Higuma began to eliminate him. After a pummeling, the president insulted Tsukune, calling him a creep. He then demanded Moka to swear herself to him, or he'll end Tsukune's life. He demanded her to swear it, swear it, swear it. Flinging herself onto Tsukune to protect him, Moka promised to do whatever the president wanted as long as he spared Tsukune. Clutching onto Tsukune's battered frame, she apologized as she believed that she caused all this. She admitted that she was selfish, and he suffered from it. She didn't know until he said so, but only he could be Moka's friend, no one else. She was always curious about Tsukune, as he was so nice to everyone. But not just that, he had the most gentle scent compared to everyone else she had ever met. She was glad to be his friend, even for a moment. She always felt warm around him, and it's only been with him. The president pulled Moka away by the hair as he was fed up with her tenderness. However, Tsukune's rage was unleashed upon seeing Moka being hurt and grabbed for the president's wrist, causing him to release Moka. Despite being wounded, Tsukune stood up to defend Moka, surprising both Moka and the president. Tsukune apologized to Moka, saying that he was just overthinking everything and he didn't care about who she really was, as he liked her for her. As he spoke, he threw the president out of the way before turning back to Moka. Gasping for breath, Tsukune told Moka that he doesn't care what she is, because even if she is a vampire, he still likes her. As he told her this, he removed her rosary with confidence. With the Rosario now removed, a blinding light filled the room. While everyone couldn't see, Moka began her vampiric transformation to everyone's surprise. While finally being able to see Moka, everyone questioned what happened, and questioned who stood there, as it no longer looked like the Moka they knew. Crimson eyes, silver hair, long, sharp canines. Moka could only be one thing now, a full-blooded vampire. With inhuman speed, Moka stood in front of Higuma and pierced his chest, ending him then and there. The president questioned what happened to Higuma while drawing out a knife. Moka, licking her blood-soaked fingers, told the president that since he wanted her so bad, he should come and get her. The president, still not believing it was Moka, told her that he didn't know her and that she was about to end right here. With a roundhouse kick, Moka sent the president flying, telling him that a common human like him shouldn't get so cocky and he should know his place like the trash he is. The rest of the president's gang fled in fear while Tsukune realized that everything Moka had said was true. The ferocious vampire Moka picked up the president with ease. Though Tsukune was scared, he called out to Moka and slowly approached her. As Moka held the president, he began to age and wither, causing Tsukune to call out to Moka, asking her what she was doing. Moka laughed as she admitted that she only took some life energy and he'll be back to normal soon. Tsukune then recalled the words that Moka told him about the rosary. Tsukune then tried to comfort Moka, telling her that it's safe now and she can turn back. Moka, licking her lips, questioned what Tsukune was even saying. Moka laughed at Tsukune's words, that she won't change back now as she is the real Moka, not the other one. Tsukune looked on shocked while Moka explained that the other Moka that Tsukune knew was the fake shell version of herself, while the her now was the real her. Moka explained that she was given the rosary by her parents to learn to blend into human society, but Tsukune freed her, and she wants to stay free. Surprising Moka with a hug, Tsukune denounced Moka's words as he didn't think the other Moka was a shell, but far from it. Moka was stunned by Tsukune's actions and questioned his motives, telling him to release her. But he told her no, he won't, as Moka is Moka, and if she stays this way, she'll be alone again, so please, turn back. While hugging, Tsukune asked Moka to trust him, as he won't let her be alone ever again. Tsukune's words took Moka off guard, but the sincerity struck her, and it struck deep as she began to cry. Moka then told Tsukune that he's hurting her, and to his surprise, the old Moka was back. They had their reunion, tear-filled but happy. The day then became a rumor since no one involved remembered or spoke of it, with all surviving the incident, and the only solid rumor being that Moka was scary when she was mad. The only real change to school was that Moka got more friends, as her harassment from the president was gone, so everyone was safe to befriend her, and she was more willing to be friends with everyone else too. Greeting her, Tsukune noticed that her lone wolf status was gone and she was now happily social with everyone. But Tsukune's days were now all cheery, apart from the cute vampire girl chasing him, smiling the whole way, and always wanting to drink his blood.